Shem Angel 44, Yelahiah. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin McKnight. And today we are looking at Shem Angel 44, Yelahiah. This is a Shem Angel associated with protection, victory, and war. This angel governs 5 up until 10 degrees of Scorpio. So it's interesting that the Shem angel that governed the first 5 degrees was associated with war, and now the Shem angel that governs 5 up until 10 degrees of Scorpio, this quinary of the zodiac, is associated with war and victory and protection. And of course, Scorpio is ruled by Mars in classical astrology. So, Yelahiah, this angel name in Latin letters, there's some variation. I've used Dr. Rudd's convention of using the letter Y. This, alternatively, sometimes it uses a letter I or the letter Y. Sometimes, such as in the Divine Kabbalah, it's the letter J. But in that case, it's the Latin pronunciation of the letter J again is the letter Y. So, we have the spelling of the name in Hebrew, of course, is Yud Lamed He, Yud He, Yelahiah. And then in Latin, or English letters, in English we use... In English, we use Latin letters. It's Yelahiah. So there's some variation in the spelling, but it's Yelahiah. The divine attribute. All 72 of the Shem angels embody a divine attribute. So that divine quality is embodied in the angel, as we see in Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Aegyptiacus, published in 1654. The divine attribute is eternally enduring God, or God eternally enduring. So we get this idea of eternity, of lasting forever. Eternally enduring God is the divine attribute. Athanasius Kircher's Latin has Deus aeternum manens. So let's take a look at what La Science Kabbalistique has to say about the office of this angel. It says, this genius protects against weapons and gives victory. It protects against weapons and gives victory. Now, when you think of weapons, I think it's much more than just bullets or knives. Hi, Show. How are you doing today? It's so great to see you here. I'm glad to have you here on my video. How are you doing? When you think of weapons, it's not just bullets and, knives. Think of any kind of attack of an enemy, anything that they try to use against you. Let's see here. Show says, good timing. Let's see, good to see you too. Alright. You got something going on November the 20th. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, the Shem angels are great for helping with that type of stuff. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that, Show. It's wonderful to have you here. Hi, Brianna. How are you doing? Some of the viewers are like, shit, they can see me? Yes, sometimes when people pop in, you can see them. Sometimes you cannot. That used to bug me. Anyways, I'm going way off topic here. Let me get on here. So, actually, let's take a look at what this English translation... Now, this book is very important. The science of the Kabbalah for the offices. but I recommend that people take it with a grain of salt. For one thing, traditionally the Shem angels are associated with the quinaries of the zodiac. This is the tradition going back all the way to Agrippa. They follow the quinaries of the zodiac. The Shem angels are not associated with days, because our calendar is not totally linked up with astrology or the zodiac. I mean, that's why we have leap years and things. But Lazare Lenain tries to fit it into days. So you could only divide 360 by 72, you get 5 days. But that leaves 5 remaining days. And so the way that he does things, it's going to be a little bit off. He get these 5 extra days, the last 5 days assigned to Pisces, instead of being associated with Mumya, the Shem Angel 72, he assigns them to the 4 elements and then to God. So that's one thing. I would take this book with a grain of salt. Another thing is, hi Brianna, another thing is, he gives 3 different types of birth angel, depending on a 20-minute cycle, which he invents, a running through every 72 days, the Shem angel repeats, which he made up, and then following this sequence of 5 days, which is inspired by Agrippa, but he's making these tables up and trying to say that we have, for example, second Kabbalistic table, these Shem angels govern your physical body. So he tries to say that the Shem angel that rules the degree of the sun at your birth is just your physical body, whereas this the 5 revolutions of the 72 geniuses, for example, Yelahiah rules March 20th, 72 days later, May 31st, 72 days later, August 11th, 72 days later, October 22nd, 72 days later, January 2nd. That they govern your morals. And then this 20-minute cycle, this is your divine genius that rules over your soul and stuff. Now, the thing is, he makes all this up in the 1800s. This is not part of the tradition. This idea that we have 3 birth angels based on this 20-minute cycle that he invents, he invented this in his book in 1823. Now, if people resonate with that, if you really resonate with this, which he creates in the 19th century, and you like it, then by all means. However, this is new. He makes up these tables. These 72 talismans associated with Eliphas Levi and all of that, these have nothing to do with Shem angels. These are taken from the Tol's Greco's Key of Solomon. These are pentacles from the Tol's Greco's Key of Solomon. So, you know, it really depends on what resonates with you. Spirituality, you can't really say someone is right or wrong. If it works for you and you're getting good stuff out of it, then great. But this is not the Bible or any insert important, unquestionable book. No person can speak for the tradition, but it's an interesting read, okay? But I would take what he says with a grain of salt. He gets the days a little different, and then he has these 3 guardians that are not part of the tradition, and this is repeated in some angel cards that otherwise I really like, but it's just a repetition of Lenain. Now, having said all that, his offices are very useful. Many, many, many people work with the offices. I work with them out of Lazare Lenain. Now, this is an English translation by Pierce Vaughan of La Science Kabbalistique. So when I use the French name, La Science Kabbalistique, I'm talking about the original French of this. But the offices are very useful. I just happened to open at Yelahiah, page 80. Let's say what this English text says. Let's see here. Chris says, supposedly my guardians are Kachatel, Lekabel, and Vehuel, or Daniel. Don't know because Vehuel, it's messing up, is through 4:20 p.m. and Daniel starts at 4:20 p.m. my birth time, so I don't know which one. Well, that's what we're talking about, is that the 20-minute cycle, he just makes it up. He made this up in his 1823 book. That's not part of the tradition. But if it works for you, great. But this is just what he wrote. No, because the angels always share the first and last number of the 20-minute cycle. Too confusing. Yeah, that's another issue. But we need to move on with this angel, though. But 0 until ending at 5. I've seen some other really high people in the occult community say it differently. But if you don't do 0 degree ending at 4 degrees 59 minutes, so 5 is the new angel, then you're saying that Mumia governs 0, 30 minutes, whatever, of Aries. So, anyways, we don't need to get bogged down with the details, but I do think the history is important. Anyways, back to this. So, Yelahiah. All right. Yeah, Chris says, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it's very simple. They govern the quinaries of the zodiac. That's what Agrippa says. 5-degree sections of the zodiac. For example, Yelahiah governs 5 up until 10 degrees of Scorpio. It's very easy. You pull up over any astrological app and you look at where the sun is in the zodiac. Now, your birth angel, many people do this, myself included, is where the sun is in your zodiac. That's your birth angel. It's not just the morals or the body or whatever. It's your birth angel. And yet some people even extend this to look at your rising. What degree is on the ascendant of your rising? And then to look at your moon. So some people, it's pretty interesting. Some people look at this as looking at your sun sign and then your moon. So there's different ways to do this. So don't ask me that on this video. Not anymore. Not anymore. I certainly have. Okay. All right. Chris says, where is this particular system involving the degrees? Sounds much more well, from Agrippa. Oh, you're talking to him. Okay, y'all, we got to get on track here. Because when I put this on YouTube, they're not even going to see the comments. They're just going to see me on here. But let's see what Lazare Lenain says. One invokes this genius to obtain success in a useful enterprise. So you have this idea of success as well, according to Lenain. And then it gives the psalm verse, which is the same psalm verse throughout the tradition. And then he says, he is good for getting the protection of magistrates and to win a lawsuit. Now, if you look at the French, ילהיה, it looks like that's probably referring to the psalm verse instead of the angel. So then it goes, this genius protects against arms. He gives victory. The person born under this influence will love to travel in order to learn and will succeed in all his undertakings. He will distinguish himself or herself through military talents and bravery. His name will be famous in the pomp of glory. Now, if you look at the French of the text, it looks like it's talking about the powers of the psalm verse. And then it jumps to this genius governs. So that's where I pick up. This genius protects against weapons and gives victory. The person born under this influence will love to travel, to learn, and all his or her undertakings will be successful. This person will be distinguished by military talents and bravery, and his or her name will become famous in the splendors of glory. So you get this idea of protection. Someone's throwing stuff at you, whether material or metaphorical weapons, right? They're trying to attack you. This angel is associated with protection, like you're not going to hurt me, and victory and war. So this angel is very much associated with war, protection, and victory. So it's very important to have spirits on your side, because sometimes you have people that come after what is yours. People that try to bump you out of the way and take your place. Things that rightfully belong to you. So this idea of protection, war, and victory. Very useful. Very powerful. So the divine attribute again is eternally enduring God. Deus aeternum manens. The psalm verse, which is consistent through the centuries. Again, if you look at the Hebrew of the psalm verse, you see the three letters. Usually, the three letters of the Shem angel name next to a tetragram, a Yud He Vav He. So if you look in the Hebrew here, I see the tetragram. You have a Yud, Lamed, and a He. Somewhere it's prominent. So those three letters need to be found somewhere around there. Anyways, the psalm verse in English, except this is in the Masoretic text. It's Psalm 119, verse 108. This is that really long psalm, one of my favorites. Different verses are associated with Hebrew letters. But Psalm 119, verse 108, in the Masoretic numbering. Accept, I beseech thee, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me thy judgments. Once again, Psalm 119, verse 108. Accept, I beseech thee, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me thy judgments. So that is the psalm verse. Each angel is traditionally associated with the psalm verse. The psalm verse goes with the call. And then finally we have the Divine Kabbalah, Welcome Manuscript 3203. It says, Yelahiah governs from the 28th of October to the 1st of November inclusively. Once again, this varies per year because our calendar is not based around astrology, astrological positions. And of course, you don't have to use any kind of specific timing with the Shem angels, but many people find it useful. So the 28th, the Divine Kabbalah says the 28th of October to November 1st, inclusively. The verse from whence is derived his name is the 108th verse of the 118th Psalm. It's using the Vulgate or the Septuagint numbering. O Lord, be well pleased with the voluntary offering of my mouth, and teach me thy judgments. So that is Shem Angel 44, Yelahiah. Again, that's Yud, Lamed, He, Yud, He. Yelahiah, Shem Angel 44, governs 5 until 10 degrees of Scorpio. It's associated with protection, victory, and warfare. So this is very important to have angels of protection like this, even if nothing is going on right now. Let's say right now you're not having any difficulties. There may be something brewing that you're not seeing. During this time, I encourage everyone to ask for protection. And that any hidden enemies, anyone, maybe you don't know someone's rising up against you, just in case. So even if you're like, well, I don't really have anyone going against me, I would still ask Yelahiah for Yelahiah, protect me, let any attacks coming at me turn away, grant me victory, don't let anyone cast me down. So I encourage people, I say this all the time. People often get comfortable, and it's not good to get too comfortable. If you feel at peace, I would still ask Yelahiah for protection against any hidden enemies or whatever. So that is Yelahiah. Once again, you don't have to use a whole lot of elaborate methods with these angels. Candles, incense, call the angel name, recite the psalm verse, ask for something within its office. That's a simple prayer approach. If you want to use a scrying stone, I recommend clear crystal. And you want to be careful with fire safety. You want to be very careful with fire. But I often recommend having the scrying crystal elevated above the incense smoke. If you're going to be scrying, it's a good idea to have a magical circle. I recommend the Circle of Consecrations from the Colorno Key of Solomon. They have the 4 tetragrams. Yud He Vav He, Adonai, Iyelahiah, Agla, the same ones used in the LBRP. You can mark this if you want to have a magic circle. You can paint this on a large canvas. You can paint it on a rug. You can mark it on chalk if you have a hardwood floor. You could paint this you could paint it on a sheet or something. I recommend like a large canvas. It's worth spending the money. What I always like to do, and the way that I was taught, is to grind up some charcoal and mix it with some holy water from a church, Catholic church. Get some holy water, mix it with some ground up charcoal, pulverize it in a mortar and pestle, and then mix in some actual black paint and use that to paint your circle. But this is not a video about magic circles. The prayer method works perfectly well. I'm just saying, if you're going to use a scrying crystal, at that point I recommend having some type of a circle. Once again, classical magic differs from modern magic. Modern magic views a circle as an energetic boundary, right? You're going to cast a circle. Nothing wrong with that. I work with modern magic too. The classical magic approach is that it's all about the divine names being marked on the ground. Evil spirits will not cross the names. So when working classical magic, it's a different paradigm. It's thinking of things a little bit differently. It's not just an energetic barrier. It's the names being marked on the ground. And then astral projection. I've used a lot of astral projection with the Shem angel operations. Very effective. You can just use the method from Liber O. And then dream magic. The Divine Cabal is actually a dream magic grimoire. Dream magic is mentioned by Agrippa. It's mentioned in the Key of Solomon. You take the sigil, place it under your pillow, call upon the angel, and go to sleep. And see what kind of dreams you have. In general, I think it's a good idea to pay attention to your dreams anytime that you're working with Shem angels, just in general. Oftentimes, unasked for, you'll get messages in dreams. One other thing I want people to keep in mind before I close out here is that some people are very good scryers, right? Some people will have very vivid communication. You'll see colors and you start, getting very, very rapid, very clear communication. And some people may not notice anything when they call out. But pay attention to synchronicities in the following days. Pay attention to the subtle. You don't have to have a blinding vision of light and you hear a voice from the heavens. Some people do get really vivid things. I'm not trying to brag. I only say it because I want people to know that, yeah, it can be a real experience. I'm a very vivid, I'm a good scryer. But I don't want to say that in a prideful way. I'm just saying that, yes, that experience does exist. But I mean, not everyone is a good scryer, unfortunately. That's why John Dee worked with Edward Kelly. If you look in the PGM, it often says to use a scryer. So what I'm saying is, if you don't have any communications that you notice at the time, that doesn't mean it's not working. Okay? Pay attention to your dreams. Look for synchronicities in the coming days, even. Because it's not always going to happen that way. You could have very successful operations, even though you may not be seeing or hearing anything. Okay? So even that doesn't mean it's a failed operation. Not at all. It may just mean that you need those faculties opened up. So even if you don't have a very vivid communication, pay attention to your dreams, look for synchronicity. The magic is still working. The angels hear you. All right. Let me look at some of these comments here before I close out, so I don't want to leave anyone hanging here. Let me see here, looking in the comments. Okay. Come on now. Okay. Show says, I was asking him because he was born on 4/20. Okay. All right. Robin said, this is what I needed to learn right now, though this is perfect. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. Protection of others big time. Yes. You don't have to just ask for yourself. You can ask for someone else too. Show says, I love dreams. I saw you in one before, and I loved your voice ever since. Even more, LOL. Well, thank you very much. I could even appear in dreams. Let's see. Dreams are so much fun. They are stronger when I take naps on top of my mountain. Heck yeah. Oh, and that's one more thing with dream magic. Sometimes having a long 8-hour sleep, you may have forgotten that dream. If you're playing with dream magic and you want to have a communication, and again, things like dream magic and astral projection, those can be good, useful methods for people that don't have a lot of experience with scrying in a crystal. You can use dreams and astral projection. You might try taking like an hour nap. Give you 30 minutes to fall asleep, 30 minutes to have a dream, and you come out. You may find that you have more vivid experiences when you just drift off, have an experience, and then come out. But be careful. You're going to be fine, but you may get a little scared. People are like, yeah, I love magic. I'm going to go do this. And they come back, they're like, oh my God. When you deal with dreams and things like that, it's very real to you. You could be sucked into another world and come to face with things that maybe you're not ready for. It's like the ground crumbles underneath your feet, everything. So dream magic is very powerful, but it's not for the faint of heart. You could come face to face with an angel. That's the goal, though. All right, y'all. Anyways, that is Yelahiah. And, yep, I guess that's it. We're working through these angels here. Thank you so much, Show, for coming here on my video. And thank you, Robin. And thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You're awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Chris. All right, y'all. Y'all are great. I really do appreciate y'all. We're in this together. We're walking the path together. Although we have, a physical distance, we're in tune psychically. So, anyways, thank you so much, and I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Have a great day, y'all.